Drought forces ranchers to make tough choices, cut cattle or stick it out. But researchers in Las Cruces have discovered a type of cattle that thrives in the harsh desert environment.
They're called criollo cattle, and they're the closest thing to drought-proof. ABC7's Jose Ortegon has more in a story you'll see only at ABC7.
Drought takes a toll on ranchers in the Southwest.
It's getting drier, and so we need to look at other alternatives of production.
Criollo cattle just might spell the answer.
They use them as work animals in some places, but you know they've got another way of life, another way of living. So, but I think that we can learn from that.
Drought has forced ranchers to thin their herds or sell their cattle altogether. Large-framed European breeds dominating the American cattle industry are high maintenance and don't adapt well to the desert.
Most of the people in the Southwest are selling their livestock and having to start all over each time that there's a drought.
But the criollo cattle adapt, and it's not that they can go without water, it's that they can go days longer without it, 2 to 3 days longer than most breeds. They adapt to the environment around them, which is exactly what the cattle here at the Hornada Experimental Range north of Las Cruces have been doing for several years.
Researchers compare criollo productivity to traditional Angus cross cattle.
I think that these animals could be a part of that, an option, so that they wouldn't be having to sell their animals every year.
Criollo cattle have been around for centuries. Christopher Columbus brought them from Spain, but when higher-yielding British breeds were introduced, criollo cattle were largely phased out. Sierra Tarahumara, Mexico is where these cattle were found and selected by Alfredo Gonzalez for research. In 2003, he moved 30 head to the range. He now has 200.
Unbelievably, there's no data on these animals. That's what our mission is here, is to collect data.
Research is still preliminary, but the discoveries are exciting. Criollo are active in extreme heat and live much longer. While other cattle live an average of 12 years, criollos live up to 22 years. Criollo are smaller animals with fewer needs. They average about 800 pounds, while Angus run 1,300. This poor man's cow can save ranchers a lot.
You don't have to supplement these animals. What's out here is sufficient for them to maintain, their body condition. If you're a small producer and you're limited with resources, I think this is an animal that could be used.
So far, they've been sold to ranchers and gourmet restaurants in Arizona. In fact, these animals are Arizona-bound. Their meat is tender and flavorful.
Different variety of shrubs and so forth that they're eating, mesquite, yucca, they even prickly pear.
Whether criollo can consistently bring the same price as the dominant breeds is hard to predict. Most ranchers would have a hard time switching from conventional beef, but they recently experienced a minor breakthrough.
We finally got it to that where we're going to receive the same price as beef. So that's, to us, that's been our, our objective. So this animal is bringing right now about $1,150. With this new price, we'll probably be at $1,350, somewhere in there.
With our New Mexico Mobile Newsroom, Jose Ortegon, ABC7.
Researchers at Hornada plan to expand the criollo herd to about 300 within the next couple of years. We'll be right back with Storm Travel.